Hey, this is Joel Baker. I just wanted to take today to do a really fascinating bit of history story in Salt Lake City. And what's unique about this spot where I'm standing is this was owned by a sign company that took down 3 Texaco Big Friends right around 1967. I won't go into the full story of the Texaco Big Friend, but Texaco commissioned 300 giants to be made in 1966. I think planning started in 1965, and they were all made by International Fiberglass and distributed all over the U.S. for a huge campaign called the Texaco Big Friend campaign. This campaign met an early end because the giants were falling over, it was a liability concern, and these guys were really big and hard to ship. So in Salt Lake, there were 3 Big Friends, and a sign company that was on this lot was hired to remove 3 giants in this city in around 1967, and they laid here in a back field for years. They were not unnoticed completely. There's a studio in Provo, I think, called Osmond Studios. I don't know if they're still around, but they used one of the giants as a commercial, in a commercial or something. I'm not sure if they painted him in stripes. We know later he was in stripes and not the traditional Texaco colors. Anyhow, he was discovered in 1989, still laying in the back field here by the business next door. So let's go over there and we'll talk a little bit about the carpet barn. So now just behind me you can see a big concrete slab, and this is the former location of the carpet barn. I'm not sure exactly what year this business started, but I know in 1989 owners Ken and Harla McQueen discovered the Texaco Big Friend handless and headless next door in that old sign lot in the back field. So roughly right back there. And they hauled it over to their carpet barn as a promotional gig. So it's kind of interesting because Texaco used them as a promotion, and Ken and Harla McQueen were like, or especially Ken, apparently was like, this is a great idea. I'm gonna use this guy to kind of get traffic off the highway. This is the road right here. So the carpet barn, the front of it would have been right here facing this. And what Ken did is he took that Texaco Big Friend and he laid it on its stomach and he shoved it up to a window and he put a sign next to it that said "head on in," and it looked like the giant had his head in the window. So it really worked. It got a lot of people to stop. They would come over and see if the head was actually inside the window, which it wasn't because it was missing. So this went on briefly, and then interestingly, the McQueens started getting the same kind of complaints that Texaco did years earlier when they tried the promotion, and that is a lot of people were upset at how ugly this guy looked. Of course, he was even uglier, right? Because he had a weird paint job and he was missing body parts. And so the city got involved, and they were trying to figure out what he was. They said either he's merchandise, or he's a sign, or he's junk. And they didn't know how to classify him, and they decided he wasn't junk. They decided he wasn't merchandise, and the city said, well, he's a sign. And because they said he was a sign, then all of a sudden he didn't meet the requirements. He was too close to the road, and he was too tall, and so it became this huge legal battle, and they ordered the McQueens to take him down. And if you're still in Salt Lake City today, you may remember this from 1989. It was making it on all the papers, and they actually had a court date. Ken McQueen told me last year when I talked to him about this story that it was kind of a little scary. His wife was like getting nervous. She was going to have to go to court over this statue, but it became kind of this contention issue, and the McQueens weren't really backing down, and the city wasn't really backing down. And finally, the McQueens relented, and they used a forklift, and they pulled the giant out, and they put him in the back of their lot back here. So this is the first time I've been here. They're doing construction. Clearly there's plans to build on this lot. The carpet barn actually burned down in 2009. So it's been empty all these years, and I just happened to be here just in time before they remodel this whole lot. So let's take a look in the back. it's probably a very slim shot that anything would be left of the Texaco Big Friend today. But the story goes that the giant was removed. The paper actually said it was buried, although Ken McQueen does not remember it ever being buried. But everyone remembers the giant being relocated to the back of this lot. And I don't see it. It's very slim that the giant would still be here, but fiberglass lasts. And if there's pieces back here, that would be a cool find to kind of confirm this whole story. Their daughter Elizabeth told me that her brother remembers that eventually the giant just fell apart and he was probably discarded. But there definitely used to be a Texaco Big Friend very close to this area, and we are currently right behind where the carpet barn would have been. So this would have been like their back lot back here. The ground back here is a lot of hills, which means the bulldozers over the years have pushed mounds of dirt up. So there's no telling what's buried under any of this. There could be pieces of this guy still back here. A lot of rubble. This is when the building burned. I think they pushed a lot of the stuff back here. So I am looking for anything that remotely looks like fiberglass. Probably not going to find anything. But this is definitely the field behind where the carpet barn was. And it's possible that the giants were actually located right back in here when they were found. But they were certainly very close where Ken could see them and got the bright idea like, hey, let's drag this over to the shop. Well, I spent a few minutes digging around back there. 1989, that was a long time ago. So unfortunately, there's nothing I could see. Definitely could be pieces of him under all that debris. They've kind of used the back of this lot to just push everything over the last 30 years. So it's been a fun hunt. At least I know there's nothing here. But once upon a time, this area right here is where the big man, I think it's called West Valley or something like that around here, that whole saga played out, and everyone was reading it in the newspaper and driving by and looking at the giant Big Friend, probably right about here. And that very well could have been their carpet barn sign right there. But this is right where the area where Texaco Big Friend once was in Salt Lake City.